Hi, everyone, and welcome to our 14th webinar where we'll be discussing the topic of behavioral momentum. Today, we're going to dive into some practical evidence-based strategies that can really help boost motivation and engagement for those less preferred tasks. So by the end of this webinar, I really do hope that you walk away with some ideas that will help you avoid some of that pushback, resistance, or those avoidant behaviors with this proactive strategy. To introduce myself, my name is Stephanie Lee, and I'm a board certified behavior analyst or a BCBA. I've been in the field since 2016, working primarily with children and teens with autism, ADHD, and other learning disabilities. So the strategies and examples that I'll be discussing today, they actually come directly from my own experience while working with students and family members. So I really do hope that the materials today being discussed give you some pointers and some extra support in utilizing this new proactive strategy on a daily basis. So let's get started. So on our agenda today, we'll be discussing what exactly is behavioral momentum, how to use behavioral momentum, and some additional considerations and strategies. Behavioral momentum. So what exactly is behavioral momentum? According to Cooper and colleagues, behavioral momentum is a process of rapidly presenting a series of high P instructions before presenting a low P instruction. So let's quickly discuss the difference between high P instructions and low P instructions. High P instructions, high P itself stands for high probability. These are instructions that are easy to follow and simple, almost effortless. They also require skills that are already mastered or already in the learner's repertoire, something that's super easy for them to follow. So an example for this would be give me high five or hands up, clap hands, something super simple. Low P stands for low probability. So these low P instructions are those that an individual is unlikely to follow or comply with. So these have a low probability of having them complete. They might require some additional response effort or maybe some additional guidance from an adult. Essentially, these are the instructions that cause resistance or a protest. So, for example, a common popular low P instruction is clean your room. So to put it in a simple way, high P, high probability of having someone complete. These are the ones that are easy, super simple for them to comply. Low P, low probability of having them follow through. These are the ones that are difficult, not enjoyable, and very challenging to have them complete. So benefits. Some benefits of this strategy is that they are evidence-based. There's a lot of research behind this strategy and how they've been incorporating this to teach new strategies, to teach new replacement behaviors as well. So it's very evidence-based. It also increases engagement and motivation. It builds positive habits, fosters independence down the line, lowers the likelihood of resistance and avoidant behaviors like running away, vocal protests, yelling, maybe even some tantrums or aggression. It also enhances focus and attention because we're kind of building your momentum up to it. And it's a great, effective way to teach new skills and positive behaviors. So ultimately, it's an amazing strategy to utilize, and it's really simple and easy to incorporate into your daily routines. Some examples of behavioral momentum. So real life examples as an adult, these are actually just personal examples that I have experienced. So the first example here, let's say our target low P task that we want to accomplish is going for a run. To build momentum, I can first put on my favorite workout clothes, which is something easy to do. Second, stretch, which is another easy thing to do. And then I finally go for a run. This way, I'm kind of building up to the challenging task. I'm building momentum. Example number two, our target low P task here is we want to accomplish finishing a report. So as a BCBA, I do a lot of assessments and a lot of reports. So first, I check my emails, which is very short, simple. It doesn't take too much time. Next, I can do like a write-up of a to-do list or an agenda for the day, which is another short and simple task to do. This I personally prefer to do. It's a preferred task for me. And then I lead up to starting on the report. So once I build momentum, that's when I get into the target low P task. So now let's think about our kiddos or our learners and students. So how do they respond when you ask them to do a less preferred or challenging task, like go clean up your room or do your homework? Some real life examples for our learners on this slide. Let's go over some ways to build momentum when it comes to skill building or teaching something new. So example number one, let's say that our low P task here is to have our learner read a new sight word. So let's pretend that I have some index cards and they have a word written on each of those cards. So the first one, let's say it says cat, the second one says mat, the third card says bat, the fourth card says flat, and flat is this new sight word. And let's pretend that I know my student and I know that he or she definitely knows how to read cat, mat, and bat. It's super easy for them. So to build a momentum up to reading a new sight word, which is flat, I would say read. And let's say it says cat, the student reads cat. Good. I move on to the next one, read. And it says mat, the student reads mat. I move on, read, and let's say it says bat, the student reads bat. And then I move on to the fourth card, which is our low P target task. Read, and then the student is expected to read flat. And obviously, if flat is a new word, I would definitely help or provide any guidance to finish that task, but it just kind of builds a momentum and encourages the student or the learner to get into that low P task. So second example over here, our low P task is to complete a challenging additional math problem. So again, let's pretend that I know my learner definitely knows 0 plus 0 and 1 plus 1. Those are high P tasks, super easy for them. So I ask, what's 0 plus 0? Let's say the learner answers correctly, I praise, then I move on. What is 1 plus 1? The learner responds correctly, and then I move on. What is 3 plus 2? And again, if the learner needs some additional support, I can definitely help with that, but we're just kind of building momentum again. So the previous slide was about teaching a new skill. This slide itself is about teaching some replacement behaviors or encouraging or promoting some positive behaviors or compliance. So let's say the first example here, the low P task for us is to have the child put on shoes. Let's say the child vaguely knows how to put on his or her shoes, but it's just very tough to have them comply to it or have them put shoes on. We see a lot of resistance or a lot of pushback. So what I would do here is I would say, clap your hands. And let's say he claps his hands. I say, good job. Stomp your feet. He stomps his feet. Good job. Sit down. He sits down. I say, great. Now put your shoes on. So we're kind of building up to that again. Our second example, taking a bite of broccoli, and let's say broccoli is a less preferred veggie, while potatoes and avocados are moderately preferred. So we're building up to it again. I would say, take a bite of potatoes. Yay, good job. Take a bite of avocados. Great. Now we'll take a bite of broccoli, and then I would follow through with that. So with this second example, I would be careful about the amount of building momentum, because especially if you have a child who doesn't eat very much, I would be a little bit hesitant to build momentum with taking a bite of a bunch of different food items. I would start very, very small. Maybe even like you can have them sit down, pick up your fork. Good job. Take a sip of water. Great. Now take a bite of broccoli. Something that doesn't necessarily have them consume other food items to have them, a little bit full. So I just be considerate of that. So, how to successfully utilize behavioral momentum. Now that we know what behavioral momentum is, let's talk about how we can start implementing them. So instructions. First, we want to know what our high P instructions are. We just kind of want to have in our back pocket a list of different instructions that we know that our child will comply to or will follow. So very simple examples, clap hands, high five, sit down, write your name. I used to have a student who loved to blow kisses. So to build momentum, I would have her blow kisses, give me high five, and then I would move on to the low P task. So just have a list of different things that you know your child can do. Step two, make a list of low P instructions that you'd like to target. Be aware of which instructions are low P so that you know when to proactively utilize this. So, for example, if you were to just go straight into that low P instruction of maybe go clean your room and you see that pushback or resistance, it's a little bit too late to build momentum there. Right now, we have a whole behavior management procedure going on with the tantrum or with the elopement or with that vocal protest, right? So, what we want to do is we want to be aware of the different kinds of instructions that might trigger those avoidant behaviors ahead of time so we know how to prepare for this so that we can build momentum with all of these high P instructions that you know, and then you can get into that low P instruction. Step three, let's say you're in the moment to teach that new skill or to kind of encourage a different behavior. What I would do is I would deliver approximately 2 to 5 high P requests rapidly. And the key word here is rapidly. You want to do them very, very quickly. So I would say, let's say I'm teaching a new body part, and I would do something like, what's this? Nose, good. What is this? Great. What is this? Good. And then I would move on. So a lot of rapid instructions along with those rapid great jobs or amazing, good, or high fives or those praises or rewards. And then lastly, what we want to do is we want to follow through with that low P request. Um, when we're actually delivering that low P request, we want to make sure that we follow through with it and that we stay consistent. There's definitely going to be times when you build momentum with all of that great proactive strategies and high P requests, and you still get a pushback. And when this happens, you need to follow through and you need to stay consistent. Definitely guide your learner to complete a task that and provide the assistance that he or she needs, but you want to follow through. So again, guide the learner throughout completion as necessary. We also want to encourage any progress, even if the learner doesn't complete it as successfully or up to the standards that you had set. Even if there's a little bit of progress, I definitely give them all the credit that they deserve. We want to encourage any progress made. And when we do see the learner or child completing the low P task, we want to reward them with a very high quality reward. And you want to be dramatic if necessary and throw a party if you have to. So let's put this into action with this example. Again, this is the example with the new sight word. Let's pretend that I have those index cards with all of those vocabulary words. It would say something, so it would look something like this. So I would say, read, and the child says, cat, good. Read, and the child reads, mat, awesome. Read, the child reads, bat, great job. And then I move on, read, and the child pronounces or reads flat with some approximation or is trying, I would definitely throw a party. For that, I would also maybe even pair that with pair that praise or that high quality praise